Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here doing an unboxing and review for the Hatsune Miku Project Diva Arcade Future Tone figure. It is an SPM Super Premium figure. I recently got this at a convention. I'll put a link in the description if you randomly want to check out that video. It's just my vlog at the convention. But I got this figure from one of the little arcade style machines. Simple figure. I like Hatsune Miku. I thought the figure actually looked really cool. I typically don't buy figures, but this one just looked really sweet. So of course, starting with the outside, we have a front image of the figure. On the side here, we actually have our best image, at least on the box, of the figure. It's the widest one. On the other side, we have what I'd consider like the close-up shot. It's like the close-up, the medium, and then the far shot on this side. And then of course we have on the back here the instructions, which I can't read, but thanks to pictures I think I'll be able to figure out how to put this figure together. That's another thing about it, is that this is not just a simple figure. As you can see with the arms out and things like that, it's a bit wider than the box that it's contained in, so you actually have to put this figure together. Also gives you, once again, the title up here on the top. So simple box art. I actually like it. Of course, that's what kind of draws you in. You get to see the image itself of the figure. And they do a really good job showing it off. You get, like I said, the 3 different angles. You get to see a bit of extra detail with the close-up shot here, and then you kind of get to see a grander shot, and then an even grander shot where it goes all the way down to the gears on the legs, and you can see that one on the arm as well. So getting into it, this is actually my first time opening it up, so I am going to have to put it all together. But here we are with the image in full. And I think it looks really good. I think it's a nice looking image. We got 100 million. It looks like a million different things, but it's just her arms. Let me get this off here. So we have like her sort of gear cufflinks. That'll zoom in for me. Yeah, so we got like the gear cufflinks, and then her actual arms just wide open. It's weird to see her because to see it like this, because of course with her being the Vocaloid, I don't really think of the robot aesthetic, but this, all I can think of is just any anime with robots in it, because like she's missing arms, and I even have to put her hair on, which, I mean, look how long her hair is. I mean, that's obvious, but I think that's a part of why this figure actually feels quite heavy. So it's a decent size figure, a decent amount of weight to it. Got more and more tape on the inside to keep it protected. Piece of tape right here on the bottom part as well. Open it up. First off, just say with her hair, of course plastic, but it's a nice solid plastic, very smooth, no defects in mine at least. So definitely cool. They actually they're mirror images. I think they're almost exactly the same. There's a little bit of difference. Like right here, you can see a few more ridges. If it'll zoom in on what I want it to right there, and then you can kind of see like that's a bit smoother in comparison to where this has a few more ridges. This one kind of just has like the one sort of smooth stroke going through it. So just a little bit extra detail there. Little handcuffs up there. The figure itself, a very decent size. I stand it up. Of course, there is an actual figure base underneath. But to stand it up just by itself, arms not included, which makes it look extremely weird to me, it's a decent sized figure. I mean, if I put my hand straight down, it still comes up to like her stomach, So that's a decent sized figure. I definitely appreciate that. A little bit extra detail on the back here. Get some focus. And I like it. I think it definitely looks good, the design of it. I don't know why my camera's focusing in on my fingers, but I think the design is definitely cool. I certainly like the outfit, so that's really sweet. I'm gonna shoot through this while I actually put the thing together, but pretty simple. Like I said, you look at the arms, that's all there is to it. Arms, the cufflinks, I might actually have to look at the instructions to see exactly how those go on, and which goes on first, so I'll start cutting through that now. Okay, so this is after mostly being stuck on the tape, because that was like the biggest challenge that I had with this thing. This is what the figure officially looks like, and I think it's definitely a nice figure. I'm not going to move the camera too much. I think I'll move the figure because it'll just make a bunch of noise. But it's certainly a nice figure. I really appreciate the detail of it, like I was saying in the beginning. Very simple. You know, the only thing that's not really attached, you can probably see like the little pinhole right here. That's actually for this little plastic piece, and that's basically to just hold up the hair so that the hair doesn't move around too much. And I think that's fine. You can certainly do without it if you really want to have it where it's like, oh, I can't see anything at all outside of my figure. But if you're really worried about it, you know, you can just install those, and then that way it kind of keeps the hair from moving like that. So that's pretty much it. I think it's a good figure. I'm gonna have some other images showing up here, but I really think it's got some great design to it. I think that, you know, simple to put together. There's legitimately nothing to putting it together outside of, I did cut all the tape off the packaging before I started the video, which is like always the biggest challenge when you actually open stuff, because they wrap things like 800 million times. That's why you didn't even see my hands a lot. Just because mostly there was a lot of tape on every single piece. But it was really easy. Putting the cufflinks on is very simple. Or I guess the gears, putting the gears on is simple. Putting the gears on the legs was simple. The arms, of course, everything fits perfectly. The only thing that I may have screwed up was probably the hair, but I don't think I did that wrong either. But that's just because of the way it looks in the image on the box. Looks a bit different than the image that I am kind of looking at right now, but I'm pretty sure that's how it is. So just to kind of show it, like, well, see, once again, there's tape, but like how it kind of drapes behind her arm, that's not really how it is. There it is. So yeah, like it kind of drapes, but it's not nearly as close. Like it's kind of like the hair on the box is like right here. And when I first did it, the hair was kind of like on the hand, and I'm like, well, I guess I have to like force it back. And it is soft plastic. It's definitely bendable to a certain extent. But I was like, okay, you know, I don't want to, you know, move it around too far. So that was like the only thing where I was kind of worried. It's not, you know, with figures and, you know, molding and stuff like that, the smallest little thing can, you know, kind of change how it ultimately ends up. So there's really nothing to it. That was like the only element where I was like, okay, I kind of hope that I actually did this right, and I believe I did. You know, there's nothing extra to it. So I'd say that this is definitely a really cool figure. This is show, you know, to kind of do a full rotation of the figure. I think it's really sweet. It's like I said in the very beginning, it's definitely a decent size figure, so I really appreciate that. And I really love it. I think this is a cool costume for her. I like the outfit in general. You know, kind of the additions to it, I just think are really well done. So I would personally say I recommend getting this. I believe it's around 20 or so, or maybe like 30 bucks brand new. That's kind of what I spent for it. Like I said, I played a game to get it, so it took me a minute to actually get this thing, but it was definitely worth it. I love the way it looks, of course. You know, like I said, I recommend it if you're into figures, Hatsune Miku, or you're just into figures in general. I'd say this is definitely a good one if you don't care about, you know, which character you're getting. You just want like a really cool looking figure. I'd say this is definitely one for the collection. But as you can see, you know, it's a decent sized figure. It's not one of the smaller ones. So, you know, it's up to you what sort of spacing you have. So just for distance, you know, my fingers are fairly long. So that's kind of how far the base goes. But it's a nice size image, or a nice size figure for sure, and I think it's great for display, especially if you love the character. It's eye-catching for sure, of course, with it being Hatsune Miku, and the sort of turquoise and black design definitely makes the colors pop out. So highly recommend it if you're into it for the art aesthetic. If you're into it for the character aesthetic, I think it's good. If you're into it for the simple figure aesthetic, which I guess kind of goes into being into it for the art, I definitely say it's a piece worth checking out. But yeah, that's my personal opinion on it. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys really think about this figure, the detail of it, the design. Simple to put together, like I said, but I don't know, maybe you guys don't want a figure that you have to put together at all because of the risk involved with maybe knocking it down. In, you know, another regard, that could be a plus side to it, depending on who may or may not live in your house with you, if you have children, or I don't know, clumsy cousins, who knows. But maybe that could be a bonus for you, like if someone kind of hits the arm, and you have to do it in a pretty specific way to actually like peel the arm off, because that is fairly in there. So, you know, there's a bit to it where it's like maybe like there's a tiny bit of leeway if somebody hits it and the figure would actually pull apart instead of completely breaking apart. But it's still not meant to take a lot of damage. Obviously, it's a figure. So there's, you know, just minute little things that I think could actually help it in the long run. as far as falling apart, or someone bumps into it. These aren't attached in; they'll pop out if there's enough force if you push on them. So see, it just pops right off. So there's nothing to that, and you can just slide them right back in. No big deal, as long as you just have them in the right spot. You just find a little hole, and then just plug it back in. Then there's not much to it, but I think it's a fairly decent figure. Like I said, I would recommend it if you're into Hatsune Miku figures. If you're into figures in general, if that's your sort of thing, mostly, if you're buying a figure, it's just like buying anything. You buy it because you like the specific character or franchise. So for those rare people that just collect figures, no matter who it is, I would say this is a good figure personally. But we'll love to know your thoughts on this figure, its design, like I said, the construction of it as far as putting the pieces together, since it's a bit bigger of a figure. It's not like just a big standing figure like the ones that really come to mind are like the DBZ figures. I see those all the time at conventions, and they'll be taller figures, but you don't have to put anything together. It's just you get it, and that's pretty much it. You might have to put it on the stand based on what I see, but I would assume you aren't putting the arms on and stuff like that. This has quite a bit of width to it compared to the box that it's actually packaged in. So it's a bit of a different detail. That might be common with Hatsune Miku figures. This is my very first one, so I can't speak to that. But I certainly think it's a good one. Like I said, we'd love to know your thoughts about this, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.